Welcome back to S&S Grills. I'm Rus Jones with Smoky Ribs Barbecue. Today I'm taking the S&S Kamado along with the S&S Rotisserie for the Kamado. I'm going to show you how easy it is to do a Thanksgiving turkey on a rotisserie. All right, let's go back in time a little bit to last night when I took a 10.5 pound turkey and I put it in a brine. I'm gonna walk you through the procedure for the way that I brine a turkey. And right after that, we're gonna get this Kamado fired up because this turkey is ready to put on. To make this brine, I am starting with a 1/2 gallon of water in this pot. There's 4 cups, I need 4 more. There's the other 4, 1/2 gallon. So I'm gonna light my stove and I'm gonna get this up to a simmer. Now into this 1/2 gallon of water, it's still not hot, but we're gonna go ahead and add in 2 cups of salt. There's 1 cup, and there's the 2nd cup. I've got 2 cups of brown sugar. This is a light brown sugar. 1 teaspoon of thyme leaves. 1 tablespoon of sage, that's ground sage. I've got some dried parsley. I actually dried this parsley a while back in my dehydrator. Oh, about a tablespoon. We're just going for savory flavors here. Now into that, we've got about a tablespoon of peppercorns. These are just black peppercorns. I'm just stirring all the seasoning in. You're wanting to completely dissolve the salts and the sugars. And really, you don't have to cook this or anything. We're just trying to get the heat up to dissolve it. And at that point, we're going to turn the fire off, let this come back down about room temperature. We don't need anything hot going into this brine. Our solution is at room temperature, so I'm going to just dump this in. Into the 2 gallons of water. Just take you a spoon or anything and give all this a really good mix. Let's drop our turkey into the water. We're going to submerge this by putting this cover on. We'll hold it underwater. Now this turkey is still partially frozen, so I'm just going to leave it for like 2 hours. This is more or less room temperature water right now, so it's going to make that water cold, and I'll show you in about 2 hours what I'm doing to it. We're going to put the lid on this. All right, so when I did the brine, you probably thought I was getting ready to pour ice in there, and sometimes I do that, but to prevent from diluting the brine, which it will because the ice will melt, add more water, you can do that, but you got to allow for that extra ice going in. So what I used was a bunch of these right here. Now I order quite a bit of meat and cheeses and things like that, and these things come in various sizes. I just pop them in the freezer. That way when you need something rock solid frozen, like for brine, there you go. So I put a lot around this turkey. It kept the water cold all night long. Plus I sat outside. We got down to the 50s last night. It was definitely cooler out there than in here. So ideally what you would want to do at this point, if you had the time, and I absolutely do not have the time, you would put this on a wire rack uncovered in your fridge overnight, which will really help dry this bird out, dry the skin out. So what I'm gonna have to do is just take paper towels and blot this as dry as I can. You want to get in your cavity, get it as dry as you can. You want a pretty dry bird going on, which is gonna ensure a better skin on the final result. So just take your paper towel, like I said, make sure you get everywhere. Now this could take a while doing it this way. You're gonna have puddles that form up onto the turkey. Just keep wiping it dry, and eventually you'll get there. It'll take a little while and probably 2 rolls of paper towels maybe. So the brine, basically what that does through cellular osmosis, you can research that, but basically what it does is it pulls everything out of the turkey, and then the salt in the brine makes it reabsorb back into the turkey. Along with that, it's taking all the flavors that you've added to that brine. It seasons your bird for you. So we're going to be very sparing with any salt on this, and that's all I'm adding to it. I'm counting on the flavors in that brine to make this happen. So I want to pull this bird up some. We're just going to take some kosher salt. We're going to drop in this cavity, a little bit of salt, nothing crazy. We got it pretty dry as well. So I'm going to take some duck fat. I'm just going to spray this bird on the outside. That's going to help this salt adhere to the backside, outside, as well as it's going to aid in the brining of this bird. Alright, so let's go ahead and take us some salt. We're just going to let that rain on there, nothing heavy. Flip it over. Spray it with some duck fat. Same thing, just let the salt rain. So I'm going to take my butcher's twine and we're going to truss this bird up a little. Alright, so we'll make a few loops on this opposite leg. Make a few here. This is nothing fancy. Just kind of reassuring that if that skin does break on us, that these legs are not going to move. Cut off our excess. Take you another piece of string, go under the bird. Go ahead and cut this. Alright, take both ends of your string. What I'm doing is I'm tying these wings in really good together. Let's put your couple loops right here. Cinch that down. That's going to keep them nice and secure and tight to the body. So one last thing to do, we're going to stuff this cavity. Not only is that going to add more flavor into the bird, but it's also going to give it some mass in there to help promote even cooking. So I'm just going with savory flavors, onion, celery, and some carrots. These ingredients going in this bird are notorious for coming back out as this bird is spinning. So I'm just going to bundle them up in some cheesecloth. You don't want to put so many in here that you can't get it in your bird. Matter of fact, that's probably enough onion. Alright, so I've got some shredded carrot. Bought it this way. Save me a little time. Alright, let's make us a bundle. Take a little piece of string and tie it off. Alright, so I'm going to take my spit rod for the rotisserie. We're going to slide that through the cavity. Now I want to take this bundle that we got together and I want to take and push that down into the cavity just like that. These might have to be adjusted once we get out there to the Kamado, but I'm putting the forks for the rotisserie on the end here. You want to make sure these are nice and secure. And the reason I say I might have to adjust it is you want that bird to ride pretty much dead center. And I won't really know what that is until we get it out there. But we're going to go ahead and push it into this turkey. We're just going to start what looks to be about center. Make sure you get that thumb good and secure. That thumb screw. Alright, go on with your other fork. We're into that leg a little bit, so that's going to help hold it, tighten your thumb screw. For the most part, that's it as far as getting it prepped up and ready. I've done all I'm going to do to it. We got another layer of salt on this. We got some duck fat on this. We got some seasonings on the inside, but more importantly, we had it brining for overnight. You want to go at least 12 hours on that brine. All right, I'm going to take some lump charcoal. We're going to go into the firebox here. That should be more than enough. All right, we're just going to put a few sticks around here. And it's going to take probably a good 15 minutes to get this up and going. While we're letting this Kamado come up to temperature, I wanted to show you real quick another function of this rotisserie base here, and that's these skewers. They come with the rotisserie, and I thought that was so cool. If you want to do like shish kebabs or whatever, there you go. Now you can tell I went ahead and put the deflector plate. Now I've got it inverted at its lowest level because I want the clearance for the turkey. I've also put in a drip pan to make cleanup a little easier. Most of the renderings will go right into this pan here. All right, let's close her up. A lot of people, when they do a rotisserie anything, what they'll do in a Kamado is bank that charcoal off to one side, don't use a deflector plate, and they're spinning their turkey, chicken, whatever, and it's more or less picking up radiant heat from that fire, kind of semi-direct, but not really. But I have noticed that it does tend to char more and things like that. So I thought I would try putting everything set up just like you would for any other Kamado cook using the deflector plate, and you're still getting radiant heat without a risk of really getting that intense heat. So I'm hoping it gives this bird a really nice color. We'll find out. We've been going about 2.5 hours. I've just barely peeked at this a time or two. I think it's time to do a temp check. Ooh boy, now that fogged up my glasses. Look at the pretty color on that. All right, I'm gonna let this roll around to about right here, and we're gonna stop it. Let's see if we can get a temp check on this. Oh yeah, 168, that's just right. Let me see if I can get down in this thigh. 172, all right, it's time to rest. Well, that didn't take long, about 2.5 hours. And I was temping out, but then again, it's not a very big bird, 10.5. That rotisserie can probably handle up to about a 15-pound bird, it would be my guess, but it did beautiful on these small ones. I personally love small turkeys. I normally do 2 of them because you can double up on your wings, double up on your legs, double up on your thighs, double up on everything, and you get the same amount of meat. 2 10-pound turkeys, 20 pounds. So that's the way I normally go, whether I deep fry, smoke like I did today. Now I didn't show it, but I did add some applewood chunks into that fire just as soon as I closed the lid and realized I didn't do that. So it's got some apple smoke on it. It's got a beautiful color. The skin did break in a few places, but that's to be expected. There was a lot of stress and tension with the rotisserie, but what you can notice is that using the deflector plate, I don't have all that burnt, charred stuff going on like you would have without it. Instead, it's got a really nice golden color. So as you can see, I've already moved this pouch. That worked out really well. All right, so we got our leg out of the way. That opened up this bird so I can get a better slice off this breast. Oh man, look at that. Just, oh, look at the juice in that. Can you see that? Look at all that juice. Man, this turned out great. Can you see all that moisture in there? That's what you want with turkey. We brought this up to 165. Oh man. You seen how I season this. Very little salt on the top. That brine is going through and through on this meat, and that's another reason to go with a smaller turkey. That brine really goes to work on it. Good 12 hours soaking that brine. Fantastic. That is super moist, super tender. It's beautiful, just beautiful. I hope y'all have enjoyed the video. This is Rus Jones from S&S Grills, where 2 zones are better than 1.